Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Teagle. With me, like always, is Noah Bailey. So, recently, Disney had their big D23 event thing they have pretty much every year. So we're going to talk about all the fun things that were shown there, as well as a couple other things we missed over the past couple of weeks. So it should be fun. So, starting off, probably the thing that unfortunately got the most attention out of D23 was that trailer for the live action Little Mermaid.
The hate is unreal.
And like, it sucks because I hate that trailer, but not for the reasons anyone else does.
No.
Like, I watched that trailer and my initial thought was, wow, hey, look at that. Another bland, unoriginal Disney live action remake.
That nobody asked for.
That looks like it's just sucking all the fun, soul, and color out of... Because, like, that trailer was... Why was it so dark? Like, the ocean doesn't look like that.
I mean, I guess because they're on the ocean floor? Well,
the
I guess
ocean
part
floor
of it,
doesn't... Like, if you're scuba diving and go down the ocean floor, you can see pretty well. It's like... Or also, even if it's not realistic for it to be even that bright, it's a movie. It doesn't...
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. And a Disney movie at that, so it's
Aquaman looked brighter and more colorful.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too, is like... Yeah, I feel like because they're going for this whole live action thing, they're trying to make it different. And maybe that's what they're going for with the whole, like, oh, well, the first one was very upbeat, colorful. We're going to use a rendition of the themes or the main song and kind of make it a little different. Maybe use the colors different. And again, the trailer wasn't even that, like... I mean, it didn't really show anything. So it's like... I mean, it was kind of just, it shows, Ariel or whatever, and it's like, oh, this is the ocean. It's like, okay. Like...
But even just, like, from a presentation perspective, like, just the moment of Ariel, like, the in shot of her, like, reaching up, seeing, like, the climax of her song. In the original movie, her hair is, like, flowing all around her. It's, like, a really dynamic, like, pan-out shot. To her, like, it's well directed. It's like actually there was effort put into the construction of this scene, but in the trailer she's just sitting on a rock and it just like kind of pans on her and that's it. It's like her hair is just there. It's just, I don't know, it's not, it's what I expected, but that's not good. sorry
and it's weird because it's like, yeah, it doesn't, like you said earlier, like it doesn't really look like she's in water.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It kind of just looks like, oh, we put like a slight turquoise tint on things, and it's like,
which again,
okay,
Aquaman figured that out 4 years ago. I don't even like that movie, but like,
I don't know. Like, this was not something I was excited about. I totally forgot this was happening, and don't care. I've not cared for most of the live action remakes because they're making about movies that don't need remakes because. Correct. They didn't need to do Mulan. They definitely didn't need to do Lion King.
Nope.
And they did not need to do, Dumbo, really? I mean, come on. Like,
that's a 70-year-old movie, like, I guess there's justification for that.
It's Dumbo. Who was really like, where's my Dumbo remake? Come on. Like,
no.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Again,
the Beast, they didn't do Aladdin, like.
No. Like, I mean, and again, it's not that, like, it feels like it's kind of like the thing where I said where they were talking about like with the whole Last Airbender thing. It's like if something is animated but absolutely beloved, why would you remake it? Like remake something that like of all the things you've done, remake something that maybe didn't get as much love as it should have, or just was kind of generally forgotten about or glimpsed over because of something else, and do that. Again, I know I always say this, but again, I think Treasure Planet, Holland Treasure Planet, do that. That's $1 billion movie because people actually care about, like, they could be reintroduced as instead of just milking the same things that already have been milked for everything it's worth. And it's like, and then I know the whole everyone's hating it for other reasons. They're like, oh, she shouldn't be black, and it's like, one, she's a mermaid. Who gives a crap? Second of all, like, but again, at the same time, you do kind of see that, okay, this is clearly Disney just trying to like kind of use diversity as a cash grabby kind of way. Is kind of the vibe I'm getting too, because it's like I feel like they're not doing it for the right reason.
No, absolutely. Like I have two points about this. First, I find it hilarious that, again, for some reason, it's always redheads. There's always redheads who get cast every single time.
Oh, whether it's Mary Jane or Iris West or
Jimmy Olsen,
or oh gosh. I blanked on the name, but it'll come to me. But yeah, always the redheads.
Mm-hmm. Like it is a very prevalent thing. Like, is there just more redheads than we like realize? Than we only realized they were redheads after they're no longer redheads? I don't know. But regardless, I just do find it very funny that it's another redhead.
It was April from Ninja Turtles.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
but yeah, I mean that's kind of, I don't know why it's redhead, and I think it's weird because it's like I feel like redheads are kind of their own mind, like not but like having red hair is like somewhat genetically recessive, so like I feel like that's kind of not really, it's kind of replacing one type of diversity with another in a sense.
And I think the main reason why it has happened up till this point is because the vast majority of the redheads we've noted up till now have been more like side characters or like, not main characters. So for whatever reason, those just were given redheads back in the day. And now, corporate progressivism, which is, be like, hey, we have black people in our movie. It's like which is so disingenuous because like they don't change anything about the characters' past or culture to actually represent that. They're just black now. They're just like, yeah, this side character could be black. Why not?
Yeah, exact same thing. And it's all I know is if they and yeah, it's kind of this thing, and it's kind of like this shameless diversity plug, and it's kind of just like, again, I get kind of what you're trying to do, but again, you're not doing it for the reason you say you are. Don't pretend to be that. And also, but at the same time, when people again, I understand liking to keep things original and more or less make a new character than change a character, but at the same time, I'm not gonna burn the place down because they made this character black and that's not right. I mean, you can get over it. As long as it's not essential to the character. It's not like they ruined the character per se. I just think it's a shameless plug. I don't think it's like Ariel's been disgraced or anything.
Especially since the original was a Hans Christian Andersen book from the 1800s where she was green.
Yeah, but nobody knows that.
Yeah, it's an adaptation. Granted, this is a little different since this is an adaptation, basically a shot-for-shot adaptation of an animated movie that people grew up with, whereas, people didn't read the book. So this is their version of Little Mermaid. I get that. But it's not like the original is going away. It's not like you can't just pretend this movie doesn't exist. That's what I do with Lion King. And it's like, nope, that didn't happen. If Ariel being black bothers you that much, just don't see it. I find it so hilarious how it is so easy for me just not to care about stuff. Just be like, if for whatever reason I see something, I'm like, I don't like that, or I'm not interested in that. I forget it exists. Might see a trailer every now and again. It's like, oh, that's happening. Moving on. I forget it exists. you can do the same thing. Her being like, these people weren't going to see this movie anyway. Like the vast majority of these dude bros complaining of her being black were not going to see this movie anyway.
No. I mean, that's how it is. Like, a lot of the loud, like, negative people at the time aren't even the, like, main audience. They're just upset about things and want to be heard. And it's just like, okay.
You made it political by casting a well-trained singer to play a character who can sing well. It's like, she was, I guess, you know, maybe she was the best one for the role. I don't know, like these people are always like, why don't we just pick the best person to be whoever? It's like, well, she auditioned, and they thought she was best. I don't know. It's like, I don't know.
It's a whole thing, and like, yeah, people are always gonna have their reasons, and it's like you said, like people are just gonna people essentially. You kind of just have to let people go. You know, you can't control what the masses will say because the masses will say whatever. Like you can't. You just gotta.
Yeah, but because there is this strong reaction negatively towards this movie, there has to be that subset of Twitter who's like has a insanely strong positive reaction where it's like, I love this trailer. I don't care what anyone thinks. My kids are gonna grow up watching this movie. It is gonna like shut up. It's bad. It's fine.
It's bad, but not. It's not. We don't dislike it because she's black. We dislike it, and she also happens to be black. Yes. We would dislike it regardless of the ethnicity of the person.
I forgot Halle Bailey was playing Ariel in the end. Like the first, up until it got to that point, I was like, wow, this looks bland and dull. It was exactly what I was expecting, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, she's black. Whoops. Okay, cool, whatever." And then moving on.
Moving right along. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Yeah, it's funny because like, also every time I see her name, I think Halle Berry, and I was like, she's kind of old to do Little Mermaid, and I always think she's a little old to do Little Mermaid, but I mean, I see it like, I'm like, oh, every time, but like, oh my gosh, it's just. Yeah, but I mean, it's the casual. I mean, anytime anything goes wrong, people love to freak out and it's this. This is why this country's
It's not scientifically accurate to being in the bottom of the ocean for her to be. It's magic. They live in Atlantis. Who cares?
First of all, anyone who says science in the Little Mermaid movie needs to leave because, like, it's first of all. It's a fictional story. Second of all, it is a Disney fictional story. Third, it is a Disney musical fictional story. Like, you were making this way too serious. Like, who cares? Like, even what I said earlier, where I'm like, well, maybe of the ocean forward story. Like, that, like you said, that should not matter. No. It's a Disney movie. No one, like,
there are
the
talking
science
fish.
Behind it is.
There are talking fish. There's octopus witch queens.
Yes.
Like, it is.
There's a Jamaican lobster. That is all you need to know about this movie. Okay? Like, there should be no expectations of science or realism whatsoever because there is a Jamaican lobster.
Yep.
That is is it a crab or a lobster? I don't remember.
I think lobster.
I feel like it's lobster, but I want to be sure. Hold on. Google said. Oh, it is a crab. No, I'm lying.
Okay. Whatever.
But yeah, but regardless, it is a Jamaican crab that is one of the main characters and the voice of reason in the movie. Therefore, the entire point of anything scientific is absolutely ludicrous.
Yes. And
like no.
And like kind of sticking on this, like going on to why I personally don't like the trailer. Like, because it is a Disney movie and because it is, set in Atlantis, and I feel like, again, Aquaman figured out how to make underwater look pretty. I feel like this is the kind of movie, one of the very few Disney live action movies that maybe could have benefited from, or what Disney animated movies that could have like actually done something really cool with live action, with it being like essentially that, but in live action you can still keep all the colors, you can keep the fantastic elements, Whereas something like Lion King, there's no way to do that without the talking lions looking weird, and by trying to make it realistic, you take all the fun out of it. Whereas here, you don't have to make it realistic because they're talking fish.
But they're gonna try. Like, you already know the CGI for like these talking like sea creatures is gonna be rough.
That's why they didn't show them yet.
Yep.
Flounder is going to be a little
to...
flounder. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna have like an actual fish and then try to like CG its lips moving and like, or something like that. It's gonna be rough, dude. You know it's gonna be rough.
Yep. But it's gonna make $1 billion because all these remakes outside of Dumbo make $1 billion.
Honestly, yeah, that's the worst part. Like it's going to. I don't.
And if you walk out of this movie enjoying it, whatever, more power to you. But I know from experience watching all the other live action movies, barring kind of Jungle Book, that at least try to do something a little different with it. Like, it's probably not going to be any good. But not for the reasons most people think it's not going to be.
No, not because it has nothing to do with the casting of any characters. It has to do with the entire idea of the movie existing in the first place.
Yep. Well, speaking of movies that I feel shouldn't exist at all,
hey,
they announced a Lion King prequel movie called Mufasa: The Lion King. Apparently, it's going to be narrated by Timon and Pumbaa and follow an orphaned Mufasa who like becomes king.
Oh, and this is gonna be like, is this gonna be like? Do you know if this is gonna be live action or is this gonna be anime?
It's a prequel to the anime. It's a prequel to the live action Lion King.
Oh, movie. That's so much worse.
Yes, correct.
I mean, on the one hand, James Earl Jones, another performance.
But I didn't like his performance.
I know. But we appreciate icons as they are.
Yes.
Even if they're kind of on their way out.
And I did really enjoy Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen as Timon and Pumbaa. So I guess I wouldn't mind more of them necessarily. But
Seth, especially Seth Rogen's beautiful singing voice.
Yes.
Oh, that was so funny. I was just like, oh, they're not going to. Oh, they're so going to. Oh, no.
But like,
oh, beautiful.
I don't know. Like, this doesn't sound like fun. This at least it's something unique, I guess. But I think they could. I personally would rather them spend their time on making other stuff.
Agreed. Because again, I don't think. First of all, I don't really think a Mufasa. I feel like Mufasa prequel doesn't really need, because I feel like Mufasa's character has always been more of a like. It's I feel like not knowing that much about Mufasa is kind of the point. Like, he's not really the focus. It's kind of more what he stands for than what he actually is.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So it's like, I feel like, yeah, good. This is your movie. I'm not going to tell you how it goes.
And if they pitched it as him being orphaned and then brought in by the current king. How does Scar fit into that? Like, is Scar still gonna be the villain of that movie because he feels like this orphan is now first in line? No, well, I don't know.
Wait, if he's an orphan, how is he first in line to be king?
I don't know, unless they're both adopted.
And then he's just, I guess. I mean, it would explain how they don't look anything alike. But I mean, yes. I guess my whole thing is like, if they're both adopted, then I would see Scar's bitterness because it was just, I like him better than you, essentially.
Yes.
But
I just don't know how you make a movie out of this.
I mean, there's not enough existing source material to do that, so they're just gonna make it up on the fly, and that's what worries me.
Like, I can't even think of like a Shakespeare play this could be kind of based on, because obviously Romeo and Juliet is the sequel that we got to this Hamlet, and then Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead was the Timon and Pumbaa lengthy 1.5. I
don't know what you just said, but I was
fine.
very impressed with whatever that was. You had me at Romeo and Juliet, and then I don't know what that third thing was.
Okay,
It sounded great.
it's a story that follows two side characters from Hamlet that like have their own separate adventure, that like kind of goes like simultaneously to Hamlet. It's pretty interesting, which is what lengthy 1.5 basically was.
Right, that's the kind of their story.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I don't know if they're gonna base it on a Shakespeare thing or if they're just gonna do away with that. But regardless, I don't think this movie should happen. But it is, so what can you do?
I mean, like you said, it's gonna make some money. I don't know if this will make $1 billion per se, but
I kind of doubt it, but we'll see. Now, some ideas that I am very on board with. We got our first teaser for the Percy Jackson Disney Plus series. And he was saying lines straight out of the book. I saw orange Camp Half-Blood t-shirts. The armor looked really good. The camp design, everything looked good. So, yeah, on board.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah, so far way better than those movies.
Then again, the bar was on the ground, so
yeah, like in a way, I kind of appreciate those movies for just how much they decided to just say screw you to the books and kind of do their own thing. In a way, I kind of admire that about them. Like the first Percy Jackson movie, just by itself isn't terrible. But if compared to the books, it's baffling how weird and kind of bad it is compared to the book. But Sea of Monsters is garbage. But regardless, this trailer looks very faithful. It looks good. So, yeah.
Yeah, a beloved series. And again, I feel like this deserves, a second chance because again, it's a beloved series, but kind of got messed up with movies, and now it's like, okay, let's make this work, and I think they are.
Yep, that's coming out. I don't think they gave an exact date. I'm hoping next summer, but we'll see. Another thing that I believe is a very good idea, they officially announced Inside Out 2.
Yes.
You've been clamoring for this for years.
No. And it was weird. Like, I saw some comments. They were like, "Oh, this is so unneeded." I'm like, "No, this is the sequel that should have been made. This just makes sense." Like, it's so because again, I don't know. I've been lobbying for this for a few years now. Because it makes sense. You just have the character grow up. And, the emotions change, just like people, and it makes sense because it's one, it's relatable to basically everyone because everyone goes through puberty after a certain age. And then also, why not? Granted, I don't want to make it almost like a informational how to deal with, becoming a teenage girl kind of thing, but not more... trying to think of a good example. I was like, less turning red, more something better. I don't know what the good example of that is, but
I get what you're saying. I can't quite place it either. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so maybe it'll be the first, but I think if done right, because again, the first one had a lot of magic. It was a smart idea. It made a lot of sense, and they did it really well. The voice acting was really good. The visuals, the colors were exquisite. Yeah. So I think it was emotional. I still get super emotional with Bing Bong, man. That's a whole thing, dude. But yes, Inside Out 2 should have been a thing like 3 years ago at
Yeah.
least. But
Yeah, they announced that some of the emotions will be changing. I imagine a love emotion will get in there, which
yeah,
could be fun. Watching what happens inside her head when she meets the cute boy, that could be fun.
right. I think that would be very good. I'm also interested to see like any returning emotions change.
Mm,
Also, I think that would be really cool. Maybe the emotions kind of get more well rounded. They kind of have more of an understanding.
right,
But
because
yeah, like
because I love the idea of you after the last movie them realizing that most memories are at least two emotions fused. So like her falling in love could be like love and fear at the same time. Like that could be
mm-hmm.
that could be fun.
Right.
Yeah.
See, this was needed. This is something. This is a sequel I actually want.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's coming out I think 2024, which is which is good. A little bit of wait, but
Take your
that's fine.
time.
Yeah. But yeah, this definitely should have been made before Cars 3 and
For,
Toy Story 4 and Finding Dory.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, all the sequels we didn't ask for. Which again, I've heard Toy Story 4 is good, but like, no, you didn't need to make another one.
No. No, you did not.
3 was the ending. He did not. I mean, he literally passed on the toys to the next person. That's about as ending as it
Hmm.
gets. Like, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Still have not seen Toy Story 4, by
Me
the way.
neither. I'm satisfied with 3 being it.
That's kind of how I feel. I feel like I don't want another one because I feel like it's going to be over. But
Hmm.
I mean, it exists, and apparently it's pretty good. So I might check it out one of these days. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Moving over to some Star Wars stuff. They officially announced that Bad Batch Season 2 is coming out January 4th. A little later than I was expecting, but that's good.
It's fine.
Yeah. I think there's plenty of time for Andor to be over, which, speaking of which, I got a new trailer. Still looking really,
That's what I'm
really
saying.
good.
That's what I'm saying. Like, again, if you had have told when this first was announced, I was like, well, I know which Star Wars series I'm skipping. But now it's like, okay, it's kind of because again, it's rarely capturing the vibe of Rogue One
Mhm.
again really well. It's really getting that in between eras, start of the rebellion kind of thing going well, and it looks like a Star Wars movie. Like it, I mean, I
Yeah.
know that's doesn't make any sense, but does at the same
Uh,
time. But like, there are things that have been not looking like Star Wars movies that are Star Wars movies. So, there's that.
yeah. And yeah, the first 3 episodes of that premiere next Wednesday. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. I think it's 12 episodes, so yeah, it's running well into November. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we also got our first trailer for Tales of the Jedi,
Yes.
which I for some reason like I didn't forget about it, but I wasn't expecting it to be like Clone Wars style animation for some reason, but it
I
is.
wasn't either, but I am not upset about it.
The one thing that like I thought that trailer was really good. The one thing that I felt was like a little off about the trailer is that Corey Burton still plays Count Dooku, and he is way older now than he was when he played Count Dooku before. And you can, he's playing a way younger Count Dooku. He sounds way older.
Yeah, I mean, you want to do respect to the voice actor because that is their character. Because this
Yes.
version of Dooku, in my opinion, is so much different than Christopher Lee's
Oh
live
yeah.
action version. But at the same time, I agree. I feel like it's like, wow, that's. I mean, it's him, but like,
I like his voice a lot. But like I think he's kind of gotten to that point where, which no, I'm not knocking him at all. Again, it sounds really good. Like it's kind of the thing where like how some voice actors you hear is like that is like I cannot hear this character and the other character being the same person. Whereas here, I'm like I can tell he's also Cad Bane. It's like just that little like
right.
just a little like twinge in his voice sounds like Cad Bane's. Whereas before Dooku, I like had to. My mind was blown when I looked at his Wikipedia page first. I was like, oh, he plays like 16 different characters in the Clone Wars. They all sound very different. And he's also apparently been voice acting since like the 80s. He was actually in. He actually played Shockwave in the original Transformers show. That's cool. Um, that, again, blew my mind. It's like, huh. But regardless, the stuff with Ahsoka looked really good. So getting to see Rex, Anakin, Obi-Wan, all of them again is going to be great.
The like slightly younger versions. Like I don't know. It's like I like it because it's like essentially, at least for like the like Ahsoka part, it's like season 1 timeline with season 7 graphics.
Yes.
And I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just looks so clean now compared. Like I was watching some like early season Clone Wars stuff, and like that compared to this is just like night and day. It's just like it's so sleek now. Even like I just like that quick look at Anakin, it just looks like it doesn't even look the same. No. It's like his face just makes it's so much less like blocky now. Like
because I remember I was very turned off from the Clone Wars when it first came out because the animation I didn't love. I thought it was too stiff. I didn't like just the way people looked. But by season 4 and 5, they were looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just even an evolution past season 7. And yeah, I'm excited to see Count Dooku and Yaddle, of all people, fighting.
Right?
Like, I mean, she wasn't in episode 2 or 3, so I guess he killed her. Like,
just out of nowhere, but I mean, like, you know, like, that's just kind of cool. Just, oh yeah, by the way, like, we didn't forget about this character.
You may have, but we didn't.
Yeah, like, you know, I don't know, I like that. And it just, like, I'm really excited for, like, I mean, I'm always excited for more lore, but, like, I don't know, I really like the Clone Wars era, especially with the Clone Wars style, so, like, more things, like,
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Dooku was such a good character in the Clone Wars, in my opinion, so I really like going into his origin, and, like, there's so little we know about Jedi Dooku, so, like, I feel like this is really exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Again, just these little things here and there Dave Filoni is able to do is just make the prequels almost worth it. Like if the prequels are just gonna, create random lore and just do all these weird things, and I get to fill the holes, why not?
I mean, profit. Like, it's free real estate. Dave Filoni. Go for it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised we didn't get any kind of teaser for the Ahsoka show.
Mm-hmm.
We got the who's playing Ezra. I didn't write it down, but he looks like a grown-up Ezra, so that's good. New trailer for Mandalorian season 3. It's gonna be good.
It ain't broke.
Got out in February, I think.
I believe it was I believe it was February, or either January or February.
Because Bad Batch is January. I imagine they wouldn't run those at the same time.
Season 3 release date is February 23. Yeah, you're right.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back to Mandalorian.
Yep. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention about Tales of the Jedi, I think it's going to be a Star Wars Vision situation where they just drop all 6 episodes at the same time, which for certain shows I think that works.
Ooh, I do like that. Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Shows that are just like anthology level, where it's just like here's just a bunch of random stories. They're not interconnected. There's no like through line. I think that makes sense to drop them all at once. You don't need to wait week to week. It's just here you go. I think that works. Whereas like Bad Batch, obviously there is a story, so I want the progression week to week. So that's good. Now moving over to Marvel stuff, I'll start with the 2 video games that were announced, a Captain America and Black Panther game set in World War II was announced.
Ooh, does sound awesome.
I don't think I saw any gameplay or anything that was shown, if there was any. But yeah, it's I know in the comics there's some team of 4 or 5. I think it also includes a Namor. That's like no, it's Captain America, Black Panther's or T'Challa's grandfather, who this character, Namor, and the original Human Torch, who is an android, I think. They fought in World War II together. I don't think it's going to be that team, but it's going to be like a team of a couple of superheroes, fighting in World War II. Sounds like fun.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And also an Iron Man game developed by EA. So they have several different studios who could be working on this. It could be, Respawn. It could be, well, hopefully not DICE, because they don't. They have several studios who could be making this that might not make it terrible. But
I hear you. But EA.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there was no information announced about it at all. It was just EA's making an Iron Man game, which I'm kind of shocked there haven't been more Iron Man games. There was like the 2 movie games, the Iron Man VR game a couple years ago, and that was it. So I feel this is a character who should get more. But whatever, he finally getting one, so that's good. Moving on to other Marvel stuff. We got our first trailer for the Secret Invasion show, which again looks good. I don't think it's like. Again, I keep saying this, but I don't. And maybe I'm just naive at this point, but I don't. Like every single time a new Marvel thing is announced, I'm like, that looks good. And after it comes out, it's like, I thought that was pretty good. Even Thor: Love and Thunder, I enjoyed it. Who cares? It's like,
I enjoyed it. Yeah, and I'm like, I think it's one of those things where I think people are kind of like, it's almost kind of like voting fatigue. It's kind of like Marvel's doing good stuff. People are just kind of over Marvel being good, and it's like, if it's not groundbreaking now, it's like subpar because the bar has been set so high. And it's kind of like, I don't think everything has to be the highest grossing movie ever to be quality content anymore.
Right. But I think this will be something very different. Like it'll be, not that I think it won't have any jokes in it, but I think this will be one of the most serious things Disney or Marvel has done. Like just the vibes I got from the trailer were very dark and serious. Like I liked it.
I always kind of get like Winter Soldier vibes, kind of.
Yeah.
So like that's always a good sign. Like especially like the serious Nick Fury moments. Like I feel like this is gonna get. Also, that scene where he grabs the dude and everyone turns into the dude was pretty sick. I was like, oh shoot, you done messed up.
Yeah, I am very curious how they're gonna contextualize this, because it was made pretty clear in Captain Marvel that like the Skrulls were a dying race because the Kree were oppressing them, and they're just refugees who are just trying to survive. Like, they're committing war crimes kind of because they have to, like whatever. But like, I'm kind of curious how they're gonna be like, oh, there's actually is this bad faction of Skrulls who do want to do the Marvel thing of taking over the entire galaxy.
Well,
like,
and
I don't know.
And you also have to remember the context, because everyone's the hero of their own story, too. So, like, we might not know all the details, and maybe it's not as, black and white as it might seem. So,
I just don't want it to feel like, oh, Ben Mendelsohn was actually lying the whole time. They actually are all evil. He's the only good one. Like, that would be a little iffy.
Yeah.
Like especially if Captain Marvel has been out there like, helping them find their way and like fighting the Kree for them and doing others. Like I feel like she would have figured out by now that the Skrulls are bad. I don't know. They'll need to. Hopefully, they'll be able to explain it in a way that I'm okay with. But I'm sure they will.
Yeah, they'll make it. They'll make it more thought out than just they're bad guys now.
Yep. But that's coming out in January, I think. So cool. That and Bad Batch at the same time. Hopefully not the same day, but we'll see how that goes. We got the trailer for Werewolf by Night, which is something I also kept forgetting was happening, but looks kind of sick. Did you see this?
Mm-mm. Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, it's it's Marvel's basically first foray into a horror based.
Oh no, I did see this. Oh yeah. No, this was wild.
Yeah, various different monsters. Like it was all black and white. I don't know if that'll be consistent for the whole thing, but I thought it looked really interesting.
Yeah, no, I forgot about this. I saw this and I didn't know what I was looking at first, and then I was like, "Wait, Marvel? What?" Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of more definitely kind of like a scary, especially with the black and white. I feel like they were barely going for like the cult classic scary movie kind of vibe. So maybe not. I mean, not personally my thing. I've never been a fan of anything like that, but I know some people don't like that Marvel's kind of branching out and changing the formula a bit with different types of shows and content. But I mean, I feel like that's one of the best ways to adapt after, people are kind of just like, after you get to the highest point of a certain type of content, maybe, changing it up isn't the worst idea.
Right. Because I personally am loving She-Hulk being pure comedy. Like, it's not like it is. It has action here and there, but it is all in on this is a comedy show. And if you complain of it being not serious enough, shut up. This is a comedy show.
Like they're not trying to be serious, and like I feel like the last couple of shows, everyone's like, "Oh, this is horrible." It's like I don't think everything has to be super serious. Like
and like you can't have a tone problem when your tone is like always super jokey and like it, but like in a way that allows for action and like kind of serious moments. But like if it all like it, I feel this show is balancing its tone at least so far way better than Miss Marvel and Moon Knight have. So we're so Werewolf by Night being something completely different. I think them doing little experimental, one-off things like this. I think they should do more in the future, assuming this is good. So, yeah. They also announced that Armor Wars is still happening and starts filming next year. So we're getting Rhodey stuff in Secret Invasion, where he's probably going to end up being a Skrull. It's just probably going to happen that way. And then he's either him or Skrull him are going to come back in Armor Wars. Cool. It's one of those classic things where there were so many rumors, basically people confirming that we were going to get the cast listing for Fantastic Four at this D23. Like there was like this long list of actors who have signed contracts for the MCU and were going to be announced to be in MCU projects at this D23, and everyone was like, these four are going to be Fantastic Four, this guy's going to be Doctor Doom, these guys are going to be like X, Y, Z, like Hyperion, etc. Like none of that happened. We didn't see any of those people show up here.
There's always these like random speculations, especially the ones that come last minute. And you're like, oh, this is so happening. It's like, what?
Confirmed Henry Cavill is playing Doctor Doom.
Confirmed.
No, what? What is wrong with you?
Why do you lie?
Like, I think he could do a decent job, but like,
Yeah.
Him? I don't know. Like, and then, of course, in classic fanboy fashion, even though the I don't like maybe all those actors are gonna be in the MCU eventually. I don't know. They definitely weren't announced here, but because 7 different insiders, announced that these people were gonna be at D23, even though they all just cited the same anonymous source, which they love doing. Because that wasn't there, because we got no Fantastic Four news. All these people were like, Disney, how dare you not give us Fantastic Four news?
They're
They never promised
angry.
anything.
They're like angry, and it's like, bro, like I don't. What? Like,
It reminds me of the at Comic Con. I'm sure I told you this. There was this like basically confirmation that Henry Cavill was just gonna just like appear on stage and like re-announce himself as Superman, but because he was sick, he had to not do it. It's like, sure, he was. I know he was sick, but that's why he didn't do it. Okay, sure.
like I feel like they could have very easily like done something either while he, from a remote location or just after he was not sick anymore. But
Yeah, like he still hasn't been announced yet, but okay, whatever. But yeah, like, well, it's not like we'll never get Fantastic Four stuff. It'll be fine. Like they're still picking their perfect cast. Just wait just a second.
It's been a cursed movie franchise, so they're taking their time.
Exactly.
And I respect it.
It's also not coming out till November 2024. Like they're not going to start filming until late next year. They don't need to announce it now. It's fine. So yeah, just
Nerds always rant and riot.
just take your time. It'll be fine. They spoke a little bit about Captain America 4, or I guess Captain America: The New World Order. They announced that the leader, who was teased at the very end of the Incredible Hulk movie, is going to be the main villain. About time, I guess.
Okay.
Like, I mean, sure, why not?
I mean, sure. Like, is it ideal? Maybe not, but I mean,
Depending on what they do, it could be really cool.
that's kind of what I'm saying. Is like it kind of depends on how they decide to go about it. Because if the other characters feel the way we feel, like really, this guy's in charge, like that could be really interesting. But
Also, I do really like how it's not some character who's associated with Captain America or with Steve that Sam has to figure out. It is a completely unique character. Like it is something that no one else in the MCU has dealt with before. It's not really even anything in the comics that is a Captain America villain, which I think is interesting. He's more of a Hulk Iron Man villain, I think. So yeah, that could be cool.
sure.
Lastly, they announced the lineup for the Thunderbolts, which I think got the appropriate reaction of like, really? These guys? Because everyone was speculating like, obviously Red Hulk, if the William Hurt passed away, like they'll figure something out with him. Abomination. They'll get Ghost Rider in there. Deadpool. Wolverine. Just like throwing all these random people.
Yeah, those last couple were probably a stretch to say the least.
People still are doing that stuff. Or I do find it weird that Baron Zemo wasn't on this team, but I'll get to that in just a second. The actual team is Yelena, Red Guardian, U.S. Agent, Bucky, Taskmaster, and Ghost. I do like Ghost. I think she does something that
The
others
wild
don't.
card. Yeah.
Whereas it is very funny that this has been kind of a meme since the Suicide Squad movie, where it's like half the team is just people that can shoot things well, and they made a joke about that in the Suicide Squad. It's like he does the same thing I do, yeah, but better. Whereas you have Red Guardian and U.S. Agent and Bucky, who are all super soldiers, and you have Yelena and Taskmaster, who are in this universe both Black Widows.
I mean, I guess it's nice to have extras, but I mean, yeah, this was kind of. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm hoping it's one of those things that this is kind of the starting team, and they kind of add on as we go along.
Right.
But yeah, I think everyone kind of had the same reaction. Like, not like I hate it, but not like I love it either.
Mm. Essentially, well, I think in my head I was like fully expecting Zemo to be like the leader of the team, like he is in the comics. But I think he will essentially be at least an antagonist of the movie, because the Thunderbolts is a very complicated thing in comics. Like, they kind of started as like this government sponsored team of super villains who they reformed to become good, like a team of superheroes after the Avengers got sucked into a wormhole. It's a whole thing. Comics.
I was just like, the Avengers was stuck into a wormhole, just like, let's go with it, comics.
So is this team, I think led by Zemo, or at least influenced by Zemo to like be superheroes, but then they like turn bad again. But then like as the comics progressed, they did become more so like essentially Marvel's Suicide Squad, where they're bad guys who the government like essentially collects to do things for them. Which I was essentially hoping that would be this, considering there are plenty. I feel like we've gotten to a point where there are enough either morally gray or straight up villains out there who aren't dead, who could kind of come in and do stuff. But
wouldn't this be like the perfect thing for like a Killmonger though?
Well,
I mean, obviously not because he's dead. But like, if he wasn't, and like, assuming like assuming they did not kill off the character, and like they probably didn't try to like bring him back for Black Panther, this would make it look really good for him.
Yeah, but I think this could have been a very good opportunity to bring in characters from the Netflix Marvel shows, like Bullseye or Luke Cage or people like that. Like, I thought that could be fun. But oh well, I'm sure it's helped by the fact that the person that directed Black Widow is also directing this movie. So 3 people who were in the Black Widow movie being in here, that checks out. Like it's going to be a lot of fun watching Bucky and Yelena interact. I feel like there's a lot of potential there. U.S. Agent and Red Guardian, just either, I don't know. Will they be bros or will they be butting heads? I don't know.
I feel like they'll be bros because I know him and Bucky are just gonna naturally just hate each other. So like, I think he's gonna have to, like, I feel like the role of I hate you is gonna be taken already.
Right. Yeah, and I could see a pretty decent connection between Taskmaster and Ghost. Like, they're both pretty quiet, like very unfortunate ways they got their powers against. Yeah, I think there's something they could do with that. It basically all just comes down to who the villain is, because essentially my biggest issue with this team is that there's no Bruiser, which is why I was kind of hoping for Abomination or someone like that on this team, because there's no one. Like, if there's a big guy in the bad team, I mean, Bucky and U.S. Agent can throw punches, but they can't they can't take on a Hulk.
Right. Yeah, like they're not there yet.
Yeah. But it's coming out in 2025. 24? coming out sometime down the line. It's
Sometimes not this year.
not this year, not next year. It's it'll be fine. Um, but yeah, I think that's everything I have for D23. Moving on, at least to some other stuff we missed over the past couple of weeks. Despite, HBO Max merging with Discovery and them also canceling and then also removing a bunch of animated shows, Harley Quinn has been renewed for season 4 at HBO Max, weirdly enough. So, yay. We'll see how that works because the announcement was from HBO Max being like, we renewed Harley Quinn for season 4, but you're not going to exist in 7 months. So I don't know exactly what that means. If HBO Max will still be like a brand within this new service, we'll see.
Yeah, who knows?
But regardless, Harley Quinn season 4 is happening. So
yeah,
that's good.
That's the important thing.
Speaking of other DC stuff, we were unsure if it was happening. Is been confirmed that Matt Reeves has signed a first look deal with Warner Brothers, meaning any scripts or any ideas that Matt Reeves has, he goes to Warner Brothers first, and if they like it, they can have it. Meaning they have their full commitment to any future Batman projects that he wants.
Okay.
So Batman 2 is happening, probably coming out 2024 the earliest.
Nice. So. Yeah. Again, just a little off-put that they were like, oh, the Joker again, but the Batman was really good, and I really like the style. I really like the vibe. It's its own thing, and it personifies Batman really well. I'm hoping we get a little more of the Bruce Wayne in this version, but again, very good for a solo Batman movie.
Oh, yeah. And I think the fact that the sequel wasn't greenlit immediately was insanity. The fact that it took them 6 months, and we're like, actually, it's like Matt Reeves is working on the script, but we're not technically, it hasn't technically been greenlit yet. But not like, no, do whatever the heck you want. You're great. It's like, yes, that is correct.
No, like he definitely earned, at least one, if not 2 sequels. Like
2 sequels, several spin-off shows.
Right.
Movies, like, just do whatever you want.
Just give this man his own streaming service. No, okay, maybe that's a little much, but no, he's definitely done really well. I think it definitely deserved.
Like the biggest criticism I've heard of the Batman is that it's too long, which valid, but also like it's good. So who cares?
It is a pretty long movie, but
I haven't heard much actual meaningful criticism outside of people just being pedantic and being like, it's mid, who cares? It's like, no, you need to have actual arguments for why you think it's bad. It's like,
it's
no,
mid.
It's mid. The bat mid, shut up. But yeah, that's very good. Let me think. So Black Adam got a new trailer recently, and am I weird? Did you see this new trailer? Am I weird for thinking this movie looks kind of good now?
I wouldn't say you're weird for it. I'm still kind of in the same boat personally, because I still kind of think it's just kind of one of these we're going to sacrifice quality for passion product kind of things for Dwayne Johnson, which I'm not trying to hate. Yeah, I do like Dwayne Johnson in his roles, but I don't think he is enough to carry this whole thing. But again, it does look interesting. It does. The effects don't look half bad. I do feel like it's a little, I don't want to say it's been done, but they did add some stuff in the trailer that I was excited about. So
yeah, seeing Atom Smasher do stuff, see Cyclone doing stuff. Also, just the fact that the color grading is different now, because before it had that stupid brown filter over everything that every
Mm-hmm.
Middle Eastern / Egyptian movie show
Yes.
has. They got rid of that. Good.
Yeah, it looks a lot more just yeah, not
More real,
annoying.
if anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind
Um,
of like the idea how like they're like the Justice Society or whatever is coming after him. It's kind of like a him versus all kind of thing. I kind of like
yeah.
and it's a lot of heroes. It's a lot. It's not just Black Adam, but it's a lot of people we haven't really seen because like
Mm,
Doctor Fate, the Atom Smasher, like a lot of guys. Even Hawkman's like I don't. I think these are all their live action debuts as far as like movie
hmm
wise. So, because I know they did like Hawkman on Arrow, but like not like
There were
yeah, not the same.
one season of Legend of Tomorrow, but it. Eh.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the same. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I feel like this is pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited. So like, I think it'll be okay. I still don't think it's gonna be amazing.
Oh
I think
no,
it's gonna be one of
no
those
question.
like,
It's not going to be great, but up until now, every trailer was like, "Why?" I was just like, "Why is this getting made?" But this trailer was like, something about it just snapped with me. I was like, "This could be interesting. This could be entertaining."
I don't know. I, it's better than the first one, but I still am in the I don't think so category because like it's just again the cool stuff does seem like it's good, but again, it still kind of seems like it's all kind of clustered in the same kind of faction. So I feel like it could be one of those movies where you're waiting for a scene to happen from the trailer, and the rest of the movie's just kind of like dragging.
Yeah,
So
I will say of the like three or maybe even four trailers we've seen, a lot of it has just been like three different scenes.
yeah,
So which either means not a lot happens or they're like keeping a lot close to the chest.
yeah, but I
Yeah, we'll
feel
see.
like that's the thing. I feel like this kind of movie they wouldn't do that because they don't really. It's kind of like when you have stuff to prove, you don't really have anything to keep to the chest.
Yeah.
At least I wouldn't think so. So I feel like that's not it. But again, I don't know.
hmm But regardless, it's coming out in October, so maybe I'll see it. Um, Now, for a movie that was coming out this year, but then they delayed to next year, but then has been delayed again, uh, Aquaman 2 has actually been pushed from March all the way to Christmas of next year.
Oof. Guess it takes a little longer to edit out Amber Heard than they thought.
That that's probably. It's like I don't want to get into all that, but probably.
Right.
And I also find it kind of hilarious that originally Aquaman was going to be in December, Shazam 2 was going to be in March, but then they switched
Mm-hmm.
release dates. But then Shazam got delayed to March, and Aquaman got pushed to November, which means
Yeah, so
which means two things. One, Shazam 2 is now getting completely out of the way of Avatar, probably the best play. Like,
yeah, and I think they kind of, and I think they learned their lesson with Shazam, especially that like 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 this is good stuff, but let's not go against a giant. And again, I'm not saying I think Avatar is necessarily going to be a make as much as the last one did by any means, but I think based on the name brand alone, it is going to be somewhat successful, and it's
yeah.
better to not try to challenge that. I think.
Yeah, and Shazam's not making the same problem they did last time. Like, yes, Ant-Man 3 will probably be a pretty big and important movie for the MCU, but it's no end game. It's not even probably going to be as big as Captain Marvel. Like, it is going to be what Ant-Man 3 should be, which is good. A good fun time that will actually
Send
progress the
off.
story this time because Kang will be involved, but it's it's not going to be as big of a deal
Yeah.
as Endgame. So
Yeah, the last two Ant-Man movies have kind of just felt like like filler adventures in between. It's like they're like rest stop story. You know how they're
Yeah.
like bonus levels in the
Uh,
games, and it's like, oh, you can't die in this level. You can just get power ups. Like
yeah.
that's kind of how Ant Man movies have felt because they're right after really big stuff, and
It's like
or
those
right
games where
before really
you can
big
like
stuff.
play during the credits.
Right. Yeah. You're like, you're kind of just like, okay, this is your chill style. Cause like, we just got out of a big movie, but we're about to go into another one. Cause wasn't it Ultron,
Mm-hmm.
Ant Man, then Civil War?
It was
Or,
Infinity War into Ant Man 2.
yeah. No, I meant the first. Well, I was talking about the
Oh,
first
sorry.
Ant
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah,
no, both of that's what I mean. Both of them. Like, and then Ant Man 2 is right after Infinity War. And it's like before Endgame. It's like, this is your rest stop again.
yeah,
Hey, it's all run. We're here to like, calm it down. Like, you know what I
uh,
mean? Like, no need to shake up the entire universe. We're just here. Yeah. So
yeah.
this one maybe will be a little more. No, we're actually the focus of this one. You can. This is actually a serious level this time.
Uh,
We'll see.
yeah, even though it is more serious, Shazam 2 coming a month after it, I don't think it'll be hurt as much as coming in between two giant movies. And I think that is also like a decent distance away from Guardians 3 coming in May. So I think that's a good spot for it. Yeah. Whereas now Aquaman 2 is now actually releasing after The Flash, which is probably still coming out in June.
Why? Just cut it. It's okay. We will forgive you.
the, the
Just
studio
let it
has faith in
go.
it, and you know they would. They would cut it if they could because of Batgirl. So
Look, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, lot of like, it's okay. It's like you can. It's okay. No one will blame you. Okay, that's not true. DC fanboys would blame you
yeah,
for no reason, but no one logical would blame
yeah.
you.
But I find it hilarious how originally, Ben Affleck was gonna be Batman in some capacity in Aquaman 2 when it was gonna be before the Flash, but then
Hmm.
the Flash was gonna like introduce Michael Keaton as the Batman for this universe somehow, even though like I don't see
No
how he
idea.
like I love Michael Keaton's Batman. He's like in his 70s. I don't think he should want to be Batman, for that long. Like, but whatever. Um, but now, but now, sorry, now Aquaman 2 is coming out after the Flash, but Ben Affleck is still gonna be in it. So I don't know what's happening there.
No idea. I don't think they know, to be honest.
Probably, um, but regardless, that's that their slate for next year is currently Shazam 2 in March, The Flash in June, and then Aquaman in December. So not not
Okay,
bad. Um,
spaced out enough.
yeah. Unfortunately, we usually would get some more DC information around October time at the DC Fandom, but this year's DC Fandom has quietly been canceled. So cool.
Is there any reason why, or just cause, or like?
They Warner Brothers gave some dumb excuse about like the DC fandom only started because of COVID when they couldn't interact directly with their fans. But now that conventions and other stuff are back open, they see other avenues of interacting with their fans on a personal level. So they don't see a need for DC fandom, even though DC fandom is inherently more accessible because it's a live stream that anyone can see. Basically, what they're saying is we can't monetize this.
Well, that's my thing. I'm like, if you really care about your fan, you could just do both.
Yeah.
Like, but of
uh,
course,
but the one event you went to this year where you were able to interact with your fans, Comic Con, you had two trailers and then dipped. So like, I don't, I don't know. I feel like, especially after Batgirl got canceled, this is the opportunity to like reinvigorate DC fans to like be like, that's getting canned. We have other stuff for you, at least a roadmap or something. But
figure it out. But
whatever. Um, In last little news I have, so apparently it's been a meme on this channel for years where if you buy anything, you get Showtime with it. That's just the standard. Hulu,
Oh,
whatever. Like it's
yes.
just you just get Showtime. You don't know you have it. You're never gonna use it, but it'll be
You
there.
don't use it, but you have it whether you like it or not.
Well, apparently sometime next year, Paramount Plus will be merging
Oh.
with Showtime. So that won't be a problem anymore unless you get Paramount Plus. Then you'll just have Showtime.
I honestly like that because I'm never gonna get Paramount.
I mean, maybe once the Avatar stuff comes out, but not anytime soon.
Even then, I might just free trial it. Like I thought about because like I kind of wanted to see that iCarly, but not enough to get a whole
No,
streaming service. So
no.
like,
Um, but yeah, you better enjoy your Showtime while you have it.
oh, no, I might even log into it once. I don't know.
Right, log in, scroll the front page, be like, huh, some stuff is here. Moving on.
Close it. Never open it back. I'll have to come back. I'm pretty sure I opened it once, added like two things to like watch later, and then just never opened it again.
Wasn't Wolf of Wall Street on there? Is that what you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's the one thing I used it for. That's the only thing
Mhm.
I've seen on there, The Wolf of Wall Street, and it was worth it because that movie is wild, but it's worth a watch.
Yep. But yeah, I think that's all the stuff I have to discuss. Anything else you want to bring up or discuss before we sign off?
Well, Zelda got a trailer finally, or
Zelda,
not a trailer, title.
it did get a name, yeah. Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So doesn't roll off the tongue as well, but I think
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I kind of don't like it.
I do like how it's still blank of the blank. Like it still kind of has the same energy of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom.
Honestly, I like Breath of the Wild 2 better.
I mean, I never expected it to be Breath of the Wild 2. I think obviously brand recognition would be solid if they did, but Nintendo doesn't care. So
Or like something. I feel like it should have been
something of the wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Call of the Wild, or I don't know, like I don't know, Return of the Wild. I don't know, like Return to the Wild. Ooh,
Yeah.
that would have been interesting. I don't know, like it just because I know we talked about kind of it was like Breath of the Wild kind of feels like its own separate Zelda series almost kind of with how open world it is. So it's like maybe it could have like they could have just had their own kind of categories for it, but I don't know. I mean, obviously it's like it's still gonna be awesome. So
Yeah. Fun fact: the Nintendo Direct that trailer was shown in wasn't actually streamed in the UK, and the UK Twitter hasn't posted a single. At least last I checked, hasn't posted a single trailer or anything acknowledging Tears of the Kingdom. Probably because the Queen just died.
I'm not gonna lie, that is actually mad respectful. I like that a lot, but at the same time, yeah, that's kind of funny. What hashtag Tears of the Kingdom is trending to more than why? Like, I don't think that's why it's trending. But
Well, I never would have even considered that.
I mean, until you said that just now, I would have never even thought of that.
Like, I
ever.
guarantee no one, maybe 3 people, but like basically no one in the UK would have seen that trailer and been like, "Tears of the Kingdom." No, like I don't think that would have.
I mean, probably somebody, but for the most part, they probably wouldn't even put it together. It's like, ooh, we got a title, but like, the like developers are just kind of like, ooh, how did that like if that was me, I'd be like, oh come on, like,
We'll be over it by May, right?
maybe yes, but I mean, I'd be over it. Like, I don't know. That's a whole thing. But yeah, I would have never even thought about that. Because at first I was like, what do you mean they haven't? Oh. Oh. I mean, she had a good run, though. Wasn't she at, what, 96, I think?
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
clean for
that's
7
pretty
years.
solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it got a title. I
Mm.
don't necessarily love the name of it, but who cares, honestly?
I think it'll grow on me. I'm sure it like is somehow representative of what the game is about or whatever. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, it's coming out next May. Finally, no more delays. You put a
No
date on
more
it.
delays.
That's when it has to come out.
It's good. They knew that I needed more time to finish the DLC, so they sent it
Yeah.
back. They knew. Such a good
um,
game.
yeah. Anything else you want to bring up?
I think that's all I've got.
Okay. So with that, we'll see you all next time.
Take care.